Welcome back to Skillcast. Today we have Javier, who is connected to me because he's my brother-in-law, number one, but also he's the CEO of Glow Electric for now 7 years, but has been in the electrician's business for 13 years, just of last month, right?
Correct.
He's originally from Guatemala City, Guatemala, and we want to hear about your story and how you got connected to the skilled trades. So let me set up the first question here, okay? We want people to understand the value of the skilled trades as a future career. And people have felt many kind of stigmas in their life in that kind of decision. Some people have felt, pushed towards it, and others have felt as though they've been pushed towards maybe college. In your experience growing up, did you have a connection in Guatemala City to skilled trades? And what's your feeling about that in growing up?
So in Guatemala, it is almost the same as here, but a little bit worse because it's poor. So in Guatemala, you want to get out of the hole. So your parents were telling you, you got to go to school, you got to go to university or college. You got to go because you want to be somebody someday. So that was the push back when I was growing up. And yes, I did go to school. I did go into university, and life took turns, and I ended up in the U.S.
Well, tell me about that. Unpack the decision to go to school. What did you go for, and what were you intending on doing with it?
So my dad had two businesses, so I had two options. Either I went to business administration or I went to mechanical engineer because of the second one. So I decided to go with the engineering route the first time, and I gave it a try. Everything was great. I thought that I was doing good, and then life happened, and I started not doing so good with math. And I was very hard and stuff, so I got really depressed and stuff. So my dad told me, okay, so there's option number 2. You can do business administration. So I changed careers into business, and he was doing great again. And life happened again, and I ended up losing everything at the time. So I was like, you know what? This is not going to be working out. So that was the reason why I was going back and forth, because the push was like, someday I might be able to be running one or the two businesses with my dad.
Absolutely.
That was, I think, the idea.
Well, once you got into the States, right, what was your first experience with the skilled trades? What was your first connection with, you were doing a certain amount of work when you got here, and then thinking about that transition into something that was going to take some extra amount of time and certification to get into it?
So I didn't know much about the trades. I was just thinking about, I wanted to do something else. I knew that what I was doing was not going to work for me. At the time, I was working in a restaurant, and yes, I learned how to cook, but I didn't see myself as a chef. So I was looking for something else, and I was praying and praying and praying. A lot of nights, very frustrated. And one day, this guy showed up at my door and started talking to me about the electrical business. When he talked about the electrical business, I thought he was talking about linemen. And I was like, oh man, those are too big wires up there. I'm like, I don't know if I can go up there. I don't know. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, electrician, the one that pull the wires in the poles. And he was like, no, I'm talking about doing residential work. And I was like, what do you mean? And so he was like, are you willing to learn and stuff? And I'm sure, you teach me and I'll learn. So he invited me to come over on my day off, I remember. And he asked me to go help him out in this house, and we pulled a 400 amp service that day. At the time, I was like so impressed. I was like, oh my goodness, I pulled those big, huge wires to this pipe and stuff to make this huge house back on. When I saw that, all the work that it had to be done, and we did it, both of us, and I felt like, oh my goodness, I think I found what I wanted to do. It felt so good. Yes, it was full of mud, because yes, there's a lot of mud in the trades.
Sure.
Especially in electrical, you get into really tough spaces sometimes. And at that moment, I felt like I think I found what I've been looking for.
Wow. When we think about college, since you've been there, I've been there, skilled trades, and what we're trying to promote here has nothing against college itself, right?
No.
We think it's a great career choice for many people, but we also think that skilled trades are, right, as well. When you think about the current state of college in 2024, what do you think the value is today? And how do you think people, like listeners, might be interested to hear you talk about what you think the value of college has changed to be in 2024?
I think there's a change for sure. There's a lot of need for skilled trades. And people, I think, is going to start realizing soon how valuable we are. Yes, you can go to school. You can go to be a doctor. Yes, we need a lot of doctors. I mean, we have so many people in the States just alone. And then we need lawyers. We need nurses. You name it. We do need them. Yeah, we do need them.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we also need electricians. Let's say something breaks in your house. Well, are you going to fix it yourself? A lot of people that I have met, they are really afraid of electricity. So who do you call? Ghostbusters.
Awesome.
No, so yes, so we come in and we help you out.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's going to be any devaluation in either or. Actually, I think for us it's going to be better in the future, in the near future, because there's going to be a lot of people that is going to realize that. There's like, oh, you know what, son, I know that you've been destroying my house since you were born, so I think that would be a really good career for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the job market's asking for more skills rather than just certifications. It doesn't mean that your skills don't require that sort of a thing, but we're hoping, and I think most people are seeing that today, that they're pausing more than they have over the last few decades when they consider what it is to be an electrician and what kind of a life that can bring people, right? Mm-hmm. When you're thinking about being an electrician, can you give me I know you talked about doing the 400 amp, right, on your first day.
Yeah.
There is extra years and days after that moment. In the first few months, in the least, you're still trying to figure out if this is going to be right for you. Is there maybe not like a specific moment, but maybe thought process that you were feeling like, yeah, I have made the right choice here and I'm willing to invest more of my time, my money, my energy into this specific trade?
So for me, I was just looking for a change. So anything that would come to my path, I might have jumped to, but something that I never liked, and that is for everybody, like I did not like to have my hands messy. So going into plumbing, that was like a big no-no for me. Like I tried it, I know how to do it, it's just not working for me doing plumbing. But the same thing, there's other guys that are very afraid of electricity and they don't care about getting messy. So, hey, each one of us know what we are good at. I think there's a point in time that you actually like it, want to put your effort into it. And if you really like electricity, how things actually work, and if you like science, I mean, that's part of it too.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give it a try. Yes, there's going to be a moment that, yes, everybody that I have known as an electrician, they have gotten themselves shot. So it's part of the deal. You're going to get wet doing plumbing. You're going to get shot doing electrical.
You're going to get steam burns in the steam industry.
But you know what? That's the only thing. You got to know what you're working with. And the first things first, you got to turn it off. If you don't know what you're doing, turn it off, ask questions. Otherwise, people die. That's the only thing.
So you started it by working as an apprentice. What was like the next step for you in your learning? Was it simply just spending more boots on the ground time only, or did you do some other things as well to help kind of cement you in that skilled trade?
So yes, you can do it like that. If you just want to be a worker, you can just do it. That's not a problem. You can go, there's so many paths. That's the thing. You can go into the union.
Yeah.
You have your entire life there. No problem. There's no biggie. You can be in a private sector. And, well, I would recommend you to go to school so then you know how and why of things. And then you learn, because at school you're going to learn like the textbook. But if you don't put yourself into practice or actually working with it, then there's no point. And the same thing, if you are only working instead of actually learning how things literally work, then it's the same thing. Somebody's going to tell you something and, oh, that's the only path? No, there's so many. And you can learn so many different things and grab a book and you're like, gonna be like, oh man, I didn't know about this and about this. Yeah. So no, for me is you gotta do both. Work on a company and then, or the union, and then you get your certification. You can become a journeyman. You can be, I don't know, a master electrician. You can be whatever you want.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, as what I do on my day job is training people how to become boiler operators. And I often get people in my class who join the skilled trades, maybe in part because they viewed themselves as a hands-on learner or an experienced learner. And I always a little bit laugh at that because then they come into the class assuming like, this is going to be tough for me, right? Because there's a bit of classroom style textbook stuff that, you know, they just kind of write off for themselves. And I'm feeling like, dude, I don't think I want to learn about how not to explode a boiler by experience. You know what I mean? Like there's some things that we can learn by the textbook. And I think people often just actually put themselves in a little box that they can only learn one way. And to your point, like your experience in the trade is not devoid of a large, if you want to do well, if you want to be valuable, if you want to have a lot of money or a lot of choice for your quality of life or both, right? You have to set yourself apart by learning the skills in both hands-on, what is real, right? And what is code-worthy or textbook or however you want to put it in that way, right? What I find is the people that put their boots on the ground only are deficient on the whys.
Correct.
And the people who only look at the textbook often don't get things done.
Do not talk bad about engineers, but I don't know, in the automotive industry, how many times we heard mechanics saying like, oh my gosh, whoever did build this car did not know how to work on them.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing with the electrical. There's some things that unless you actually have worked with them, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah, and I think it's encouraging to people who are looking into the skilled trades because they assume that they might have to write off their decision of growing as a learner, growing as a competent person in the sense of higher and deeper education, which is a huge myth and lie. And obviously the two tracks we're going to higher education is literally what we would call it. And the other track is for the skilled trades, which makes it seem as though devoid of that thing, but it's certainly not in my experience. And alternatively, both of those tracks have people who are not really great learners either and haven't studied.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that. It's like, anywhere. I think I was talking to my wife the other day, and I was like, do you know how many times you see, like when I was in school, engineering school, how many engineers, there are engineers now, like were not as great when I was in school that I saw, like they're not as great. Or the same thing, think about doctors. How many doctors are, yes, they are doctors, but they didn't get straight A's. I mean, there's everyone.
Sure, yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, every trade, every career has its scale.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, so obviously we love the skilled trades here, but one of the mistakes I think that proponents for the skilled trades have made over the last few decades is kind of held a grudge about, feeling secondary in class as a career choice. And so their response in trying to promote it has been aggressive, or maybe more simply put, they've only been trying to highlight the good things about the trade. And the reality is that, man, it's like work, right? Like work is still work.
Correct.
And it's going to have its good days, its bad days. From your perspective, talk about that for a moment, that every career has its challenges.
Correct.
Right? So what obstacles on your journey here have you experienced, and maybe how did you overcome them? If you can think of, the few that come to mind, maybe. What's some obstacles?
Obstacles. Well, it depends what you want to achieve with what you're learning. Because, yes, some people are book smart and they can learn so fast. Some others don't. So, but I think that there's a valuable in both. So you might be really good at books, but if you don't put yourself into work, then you're going to have how do you say? Stumbling block?
Your stumbling block, yeah.
And then same thing, the opposite. Yeah. So to learn how to do it, you have to put a lot of work into it. You really have to put time and learn because it doesn't come natural. It just doesn't. And it's going to take some time, but if you put your time in and you persevere, you're going to get it. Same with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So how have you seen your skills evolve over time? It's been 13 years now, right? How has that growth that you see, right, contributed, do you think, to your overall happiness? And if I could give you just an example, like I didn't anticipate to go into boilers or to be excited about it. But now as I stand up in front of people teaching it and getting new projects set up for operating boilers, I can say that I'm ultimately passionate about what I do now. But it didn't start that way.
Correct.
So like how did that evolution for you take place?
It does brings you happiness to a point, because there's a point in time that you actually are set up in a job by yourself. And they tell you, this is your baby. And you have everything happens in that job is going to be your responsibility. So whatever happens, good or bad, it is for you. So you try your best, and whenever you turn on that switch and all the lights come on, you feel like, oh man, I did that. Same with a panel. You change a huge panel in the house, a service. Same thing. You're like, turn all the breakers and everything turns back on. And literally you don't have any problems. Then you're like, oh my goodness, that's great. It's a really great feeling. And there's also the time that you turn on the breaker and it doesn't turn on. So, and you got to go back and troubleshoot what did you do wrong? So, but no, it gives you a really good satisfaction to do, at least for me, when I saw that for the first time and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm able to do all this stuff. And I did it. So then it's like, okay, what's the next? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? It's always trying to do more. So that's what, for me, made it. And yes, I have grown, and I felt like I was able to give my family a lot of not just support, but it's just a lot of good moments. I can talk to my wife about doing this job, doing that job, or not so good moments too. But yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I see that. And I feel like there's a common thread in people that get into the skilled trades, and one of the values that they see is that there's a tangible end to the work that you put in at the end of the day. And there's a beautiful metaphor even in the electrician's business, right? Like the light bulb shines, right?
Yep.
It illuminates the room, and there's no questioning the value of work that you put in that moment. And not every career has that sense of satisfaction. And I think sometimes we might pass over those moments that we are proud of ourselves for the work that we did and the impact that we made, right? We pass over it a little bit too quickly sometimes because, man, if you string the number of times where even at the point where you say, yes, the light came on, but then you get to a point, I would assume for you, like the light is going to come on. You know what I mean? Like you just know that about yourself. Like you know your quality of work, and it's a good feeling to feel as though that there's not a job that you're scared of. You know what I mean?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes. Like, it depends if you have
What's scaring you today?
No, it's not scary, but it's like there's some jobs that you're like, oh my goodness, I think that's a little too big for me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But there's always like, but what if it ain't?
Yeah.
It's like, let's give it a try.
Well, that's probably how over the last 13 years for yourself as well, you found yourself desiring more, right? Is that, you know, for most people, for all people, they see a hurdle and we all have a choice, right? Are we going to step over the hurdle or are we going to succumb to it? And, you know, it's obvious to where you are in your life right now that you can't be risk adverse and still succeed. You know what I mean?
You got to take the risks. And if you don't, well, you never know. You just have two options. Either you do it or you don't. At least if you do it, if you fail, that's fine, but you already did it. So now you're not at zero next time you try. You're like 25%, maybe 50, I don't know.
Absolutely. I get it. The reason that we do work, I think, is because we want a happy life which extends far beyond the work itself, which we want to understand the career in this book. But the question I have for you now is, how has the skilled trade that you've chosen, right, that you're in, how has that made your life outside of work, your family life, your personal hobbies, or whatever, your future, or even your inner peace, you know? How has that supported your relationships around you?
Well, with my family, I think it came to a point that I was able to say, I want to take that job and I don't want to take that one. because at the end of the day, I want to spend time with my family. So with the electrical, thank God I have a lot of work. So it's not like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow or where the money's gonna come from. Because thank God, like I can just go somewhere and have a job if I have to do that. Some people don't, and it's part of the skill trait that if you learn it and you're good at it, you might be struggling today, but it's not gonna be tomorrow because you literally can just go take a drive, go to the next business, and they're like, hey, I have all this curriculum, or this is what I have done, and they're like, oh yeah, come on in, let's give it a try, and they'll take you in, no problem. Now I don't know if that works the same with engineers, like unless you're really, really good, but in skills, we're in high demand.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an incredible sense of stability as the word keeps coming up,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
You're not afraid. It's almost like freedom kind of a thing. You're like, if this don't work, well, something is going to work.
It's such a beautiful thing when you think about how if you're, not to say that you're fearless at all, like like we talked about, there's some things that are still a little risky, but if you believe in yourself enough to grow skills in certain areas, and this extends into any kind of career, whether it was skilled trades or college bound as well, but it's such a beautiful thing that you can find a sense of confidence that could lead
That's what it is.
to like more options for your future. And allow you to maybe reach for things that you never even thought possible. I know that's true of myself. Like I'm reaching for things that I didn't even plan for now because of this baseline knowledge that like we're going to be okay because I know that I could go get a job.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
It's beautiful, man. I love it. Everything that you do affects the world in a real way. Can you think of a time, a specific job maybe or something that you felt particularly proud of how you were connected to the community or to humanity or anything like that?
Almost every job.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're doing is because, well, number one, you want to do it to please the customer, but at the same time, it's like you're building their dream and their dream home, their dream bathroom, their dream kitchen, and you're doing it. Like they want X, Y, and Z, and you're like, oh yeah, no problem, we can do that. And then sometimes even exceed the expectations because the owners have just this narrow-minded sometimes, and you're like, oh yes, and what about this other item? And then when you're like, oh, let's give it a try, and then when you turn it on again, and they see that your vision was a little bit bigger than them, they're like, oh my goodness, thank you because you give me that advice and doing this instead of the other thing, and I think this looks better. In every way, helping people out, helping them achieve their dreams. And if you can do that, I tell all the people I have worked with or that they work under me, if you can solve people's problems, you basically are never going to run out of work.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a perfect lead-in for the next one, which is like, if you're good, you solve problems, you could have too much work. And so you're like looking yourself out, right? So like, how do you balance that? How do you balance having, the joy of feeling that you can work another job, make an extra dollar, do whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, but also, do you feel like you can choose to have a quality of life and shut it off? And how do you balance that from life to work?
I'm still trying to debate how to do it.
Me too, brother.
Yeah, it's not as easy as, because sometimes, like I said, I come home and I still talk about the job.
Yeah.
And Jasmine, I love you, but sometimes I feel like I overwhelm her a little too much with my stories. Like, oh man, this customer here, with this customer there, or hey, look, this is what the customer said about our work. It's taking me a little bit to turn it off. It's very hard when you're really, really invested in it. It's really hard to turn it off.
Yeah. I mean, at least what you're doing is you're speaking from a place, I think you would agree by saying you're speaking from a place of passion, like you care about the job, right?
I mean, if you don't feel passionate about what you're doing, so then what are you doing it? Why? Like, There's so many other things that you could be doing. Yes, time, boom. Yes, time. It's time. Yes, you got to learn it. But if you're not liking what you're doing, there's so many other avenues that you can take, regardless what it is. And I think that I've been blessed. Yes, it happened to land it on my lap, basically. But trust me, I spent so many years not knowing what I was going to do. And that's a really scary place to be. Because when you have a family and you are in a job that you don't like and that you are sick and tired of it and you have to do it because, hey, you got to feed the baby. Well, got to get up and do it. But once you find the job or the career, I'd say, that you really are passionate about, it doesn't matter if you're making just $10 an hour, but you really love it, hey, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
You can make ways to make it work. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. If they're paying you top dollar, you're going to hate it. I don't know what you're doing there.
Yeah, it takes away, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I love to see that people are passionate about their work, and I love the stories like you have where people have found passionate work in unexpected places.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically for us, it's the skilled trades, but it's a wonderful thing, and it's that artificial. I think that's what people fear, is that like we're putting, even this podcast or the book together to like woo people to something that is almost like fake or self-serving for us. It's not. Like it is a very honest, real passion, the kind of passion that I hoped for when I was 7 years old, you know what I mean? That I wished I would have a career that I was like, I really dig this. And I can say it's unexpected, but I really, really feel like that kind of a groove. And it didn't happen overnight, certainly.
No, it doesn't happen. That's the thing. It doesn't happen overnight. Unless you really are starting really, really young, that you really know what you're doing. But those are counted with one hand.
This is a rare story to see people do that for sure. So as you look back in your journey, what are maybe a key lesson that comes to mind that you've learned about keeping that happiness in the skilled trades? Like what keeps you, like Monday morning alarm clocks are never happy, right? But like what keeps you willing to hit off and not snooze and get off to work?
What keeps me from my family?
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, some people have family, some people have the money. Hey, they're paying really good money, man. So I'm going to be up there at 5 a.m. Some people do.
Yeah.
But no, like for me, it's like I got to see those girls get out of my house. So no, I have to get up every day because they got to eat and I have to eat and I eat a lot. So I have to get up and go to work. And yes, sometimes you don't want to get up because like, oh my gosh, I got to go to that job again.
Yeah.
Because there's a job like that, man. There's always a job that you're like, doggone it, why did I say yes? But at the end of the day, once you finish the job and everything comes together and the customer is happy, hey, you can just go to the bank, cha-ching, everything's good, life's good, and they're going to recommend you to another people. Hey, it's just life. There's no perfect job. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. There's no perfect job.
What keeps you excited about learning in the electrician's business?
There's always something new. And it's like everything. If you stay in one place, I mean, you're going to have work. Yes, you will have work, but you're not moving forward. I mean, you have to move forward. You have to learn some other things. Be proactive, because if you don't, I feel like you're going to stay behind, and unfortunately, one day you're going to be like, oh, why is nobody calling? It's because you didn't start with LEDs, or you didn't start with something else. Like you like incandescent lights. That's great. That's a really good technology, but LED is the business now. And if you don't know how to work with it, or you don't know how to do it, it's not going to be bright for you in the near future.
Yeah. I like the pun there. That was excellent. Listen.
It's not going to be glowing.
It's not going to be glowing. Very good. As you look into the future for your own self in the business, what's your vision? What's your hopes and dreams for your impact or legacy?
Oh boy, I have so many. But no, for the electrical business, I would be like, I want to be able to just have a crew. I don't want so many employees. I just too much taxes to pay. But no, so I don't want a big crew. I just want to have a crew, maybe one or two crews that they're really good employees that want to go to work, that they're gonna get paid good. But that's the thing, you gotta work on it. Otherwise, you cannot pay them good. Because if they're gonna be doing sloppy work, then it doesn't matter what do you do. So I want to be able to do that and go get customers. I mean, customers come and go like everybody else. And I feel like that's the happy place because I don't want to be running my butt off all over the place to having 10 crews moving. It's so much work that you're not going to be enjoying your family.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. If you are just working for keeping all these guys busy, then you're not happy anymore. Yeah. So I want to have the happy medium, like you have enough work to have this 6 guys working, 2 crews of 2-3 guys, and have enough work for them and also have enough money for you to keep going. But at the same time, it's not like you have to be constantly looking for the next customer to come in, and because then you're not working for you, but you're working for them. And it's nothing wrong about it, but then you're not going to have a family because then you're just workaholic.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that before. I'm thankful for the way you're explaining it because in the skilled trades, you can have both. And my message often is, if you ask listen, I'll talk about my own kids. You ask my 8-year-old right now, he wants to be an influencer. You know what I mean? He wants to be on.
Who doesn't want to be an influencer right now? Hey, we're influencing right now. Come
Everybody. But what I'm saying is like, if you talk to the younger crews, they often say the word millionaire, NFL, NBA, singer. There's very culture heavy things that they're ingesting on a media, and I get that. And part of the message that I love from you is that in the skilled trades, they're very desirable, and it may not be the MBA future that you so dream of, but it does give you a lot of control in your life. Mm-hmm. You might find that millionaire status is, number one, achievable, attainable, and number two, maybe you don't actually want it. Maybe you actually want something that's a little bit more balanced. But in having a skill is another pathway to actually getting some control over your life.
That's the thing.
Help me out and help our listeners out here. And let's say that someone is interested, and that's why they're clicking on this podcast, and getting connected into the electrician's business. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that aren't. And what would you say is maybe a first step or two into getting people connected into that residential trade, let's say the residential business end of it?
How to get in?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that somebody in your family knows an electrician. Somebody. Probably your grandpa knows an electrician. More likely, yeah. So ask him if he has a friend that has a business or knows an electrician, because old-timers are the ones that knew more people or knows more people, to say. And if you happen to have one in your family, or a plumber, not necessarily an electrician, but a plumber, you go and ask him questions. And if you really are willing to put the time, then have at it, start. But I definitely would recommend you to, number one, ask. Yeah. Number two, get into a school to learn. As I really, really have found that if you don't learn it at school, it's going to take you a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So put your time and effort into it, and then you can be valuable. The more valuable you are, well, chances for you to getting fired are very minimum because you know more. You're more valuable. And so I think that's the first two. Go to school, get into a job. I mean, if you're 18, oh my goodness, what are you waiting?
It's great. The skilled trades offer people something that I think modernly today that is very desired, very quality, and going to serve your life well. I feel like what you're saying here is tremendous for people to just pause and think about for a moment, because for many years, people would feel like they couldn't get connected to a skilled trade because they didn't know somebody. There's so much skills gap right now that your opportunity for being able to get connected is so very high. Whether it's through school or even acquaintance, this is not a joke for many people. That is the first steps to really figuring out if that's a good trade for you, for sure.
How to get connected? Go to trade school.
Go to trade school, yeah. Maybe a union too. They have some of those.
Yeah, unions can be good.
Yeah.
You have to put a lot of time in there. But at the end of the day, if you're 18, even in the 20s, I started when I was 28.
Yeah.
I didn't start at 18. But so don't get discouraged. I mean, yes, I was 28. I had a wife. I had a daughter at the time. And I was like, how is this going to work? I'm not saying look at me, but it's possible. It is possible if you put your time in, you effort, passionate about it, you can achieve whatever you want. Literally, you can achieve it.
Well, thank you for giving us good news about your good job in this good trade. And I appreciate you giving some of your time.
No problem. Anytime, man.
Thanks for watching our video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe us on our channels. And if you want to continue the conversation to find out if there's a skilled trade that's built for your future career, be sure to pick up our book called Skill Stigma at skillstigma.com.